So I'm going to talk about adjusting tests after you've taken the test, after the students have taken the test, adjusting it to deal with specific issues with the test usually. You've given a computer scoreable test or quiz on Blackboard. That means it's not going to do essay questions or open-ended questions or anything like that. It's going to do multiple choice, and it's going to do true, false, and things like that. The instructor wants to decide if any items need to be adjusted, and if so, wants to adjust the scores. That's the situation we're in here. Turn off my video and get my video window out of the way. We're going to use a discriminant item analysis to accomplish this. It's called item analysis in Blackboard, and it reports whether the item discriminates between students who did well and those who didn't. And when we get to the next page, an actual discriminant analysis, you'll see that better. But that's the goal of an item analysis, of a discriminant item analysis. An item analysis just tells you what percentage of people got it right or wrong. But it could be that all the poor students got it right, the students with low grades, and all the students with high grades got it wrong. And then it's not a good item. And it could be that almost everybody got it wrong except one person, but that's the person with the highest grade. That's a wonderful discriminator. It belongs on a test. So here's an example of the discriminant analysis page on Blackboard. I've got a, let me grab over here. I've got some questions going down this page from a quiz. It had, I think, 10 questions in it. If you look in the graded attempts, you'll see that there are 9 attempts for every question. That's because I had 9 students take it. In this column, the discrimination column that's marked in red, is the one that we're really going to look at. I'll mention the difficulty right next to it. You can see that 2/3 of the students got whereas extramadura correct, and that's because I took the test. I don't know where extramadura was, but I found out before I took it, and I answered it right 2/3 of the time. Here's one that 44% got it correct. Here's one that 55%. There were actually 9 tests, so that means 5 out of them got it right. And here's one that 11%. Now you might say, well, this 11% and maybe even this 44%, we need to throw those out because they're so low. But in fact, it's not the difficulty that decides whether a question is bad or should be removed, but it's whether it discriminates between the good students and the students who do less well on the exam. Kind of a correlation between how they did on that question and the total score for the exam. So on this first item, we've got a negative 0.37. That means not only did it not discriminate between, did it help identify the good students, but it actually identified the students with the lower scores because it's a negative discrimination. So after clicking on the title of the question, I get to this page. Now you can see once again up in the upper left is this discrimination, and it tells you that it's poor, and you can click on the little I and get help with that, but just looking at it, it's a negative 0.37. That's poor. The difficulty is hard. Only 1 out of 9 people got it right, but that's not necessarily bad. It's this negative 0.37. Here's the question: what is the approximate population of Canada? And here are the 4 answers: 11 million, 33 million, 66 million, and 111 million. Now, to give me a rough idea about the discriminant, they've broken up into the top 25% of the students, the bottom 25% of the students, the second 25 and the third, so that's the middle group of students. And according to this, 66 million is the correct answer, because when I made the test, that's what I marked as the correct answer. One student got it right, and that student happened to be in the bottom 25%. So no one in the top 25% got it right, and one student in the bottom 25%. The question is, what's going on here? And in this case, the answer is, I put the wrong answer down as correct. The correct answer is 33 million. So I have to fix that somehow. I've graded, the system has graded the test, has given points, and now I have to go back and fix it. A couple of versions ago in Blackboard, that was really hard to do, but now, fairly simple. To adjust a score, there are three ways of doing it. You can change the correct answer. So in that case, everybody who answered 33 million will now get it right, and everybody else will get it wrong. That is, I've changed the machine scoring. We're still using machine scoring, but I've changed which is the correct answer. Another adjustment you can make is to give partial credit for different answers. You may have a test that you've put down the 4 answers, and the students come up to you, or you realize that many of them gave the wrong answer, and you think about it and realize that, oh, I know what they did. They thought this. So they really deserve partial credit for that. And Blackboard has a way of giving partial credit for different answers. So if there's an A, B, C, D, and the correct answer is C, but a lot of people put B, but it isn't really right, but I'm willing to give them half credit for it, I can put 50% credit for it. If you put B, you get half the points. If you put C, you get all the points. And you could do that for all 4, or however you want to mix it. And the total can be more than 100%. You can throw out the question. That is, I don't even want this to affect the grade. Give everyone credit for that item. Now, it's not quite as simple as that. We're not going to actually delete the question, but we'll go through a process of really giving partial credit for all of the answers and give 100% for all the answers. And that means everyone will get 1 point for that question. And it will automatically rescore it. I mean, it's a really nice system. Now, the steps that I'm going to go through in the demo, I'm going to view the item analysis by going to the Grade Center. In the column for this grade, I'm going to choose Item Analysis from the Action menu. Then when I get to that page, I'm going to run the item analysis, and then I'm going to open the item analysis. And we'll get to that page that I showed you that has the list of questions and what their discriminant is. Can I get a green check from people if you're following along from the checkbox in the participants list? Excellent. If you didn't check it, is it because you're confused or because you're doing other things and have stepped away or checking your email? I'll assume it's stepped away since you didn't give me a red checkbox for no. Okay, so let's continue. And let's do the demonstration. It's always exciting to start up a demonstration. And again, can you give me a green checkbox if you can see my Blackboard window? Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm in a course now. It's called a demonstration course that I created. It doesn't have much in it. It's course documents area. So I'm going to go to the course documents. And in course documents, I've got this one item, this 10-question test that the students have taken. Now, I want to see the item analysis on that test. So I scroll down to Grade Center in the control panel, and I click on Grade Center. Click on the arrow to go right to it. I'm going to get rid of my menu bar now to give me more room for my content. And here's the 10-question column, the quiz for 10 questions. Otherwise, I might have had to scroll over to find it, but it's the only thing on it. I'm going to click on the chevron that points down because that's the action menu. And there are a lot of things there. Sometime you want to stop and look that over and look at it. But what we're going to do right now is the item analysis. So I selected item analysis. I'm going to click on that. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm probably blocking things out because of my cursor. I apologize. I'll try to keep that moving so that the green box, I've got a thing that shows up to get my attention. And it blocked it out for you, I'm sure. Okay, so there's a button to run the test. Now, I've got an analysis that I ran, what is this, yesterday afternoon. But if anybody else took the test, or I've changed the scoring, that will be wrong. So I always go back in if I've done anything to it and rerun the analysis. You can see it's processing it. You can see status complete. So it finished it. And this is today's date, March 5th at 3:50 p.m. So I just click on that. I've now brought up the analysis. I apologize for scrolling, but we have the 10 questions up at the top, average score, average time. I did them pretty fast, I gotta say. And I scroll down. Oh my, I apologize. I've already changed this item. So we're going to go back and change it to the way it was, and that's the same editing that you would do to change it to this way. So in my preparation, I changed it, and I need to go away from that. So I'm going to click on the item. Oh, well, let's see. Let me stop that. Let me just go to this point and say I brought up the discriminant analysis, and that's all I had talked about. So I'm going to stop now and go back to the slideshow and then come back and do the change, both to clean it up and to show you the other change that we need to make. So I'm done with the demonstration. Let's review what we did. Went to the Grade Center, went to the column and clicked on the little chevron to get the action menu up, and picked the item off that menu called Item Analysis. Clicked the Run box from Item Analysis, and then clicked on the link for the item analysis. That's all it takes. This is a fairly small test without many people in it, but so it'll take a little longer to generate with more people and more questions, but the process is that easy. The next part is to adjust the item. And as I said, this one is already adjusted, so we'll adjust it back the way it started and go through the process twice. To adjust the item, you click on the question link, and that will bring up the details, that grid, I'll show it to you again, of the question and how many were in the top 25% and bottom 25%. And you look at that, and you look at the question, and you think about it, and you decide how to adjust it. Remember I said there were 3 ways. You could change the answer, you could get partial credit for one or more of the answers, you can or you can give full credit for the question no matter what anybody did. To do this, we've clicked on the question link, so we're looking at the item analysis for that item. We click on the Edit Test button. We click on the Edit Item for the item that we want to change. We're going to use a chevron again there to get the action menu. We click on Make Adjustments, we make the adjustments, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we submit and update the attempts. And it will automatically update the attempts. So let's go back to our sharing. And last week when I tried to do this, resume sharing. Yeah, great. Give me the green box if you're looking at my, or green check mark, I'm sorry, if you're looking at the, good. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the question that's wrong here, where I've got the problem, I apologize again for zooming and making it dizzy, is Canada. And it cannot calculate because everybody's getting credit for it. So I'm going to click on the question, which brings up the analysis, which shows me what people answered. And up at the top, I've got edit tests. So once I figured out what I'm going to do, and what I'm going to do is make sure that 33 million is the correct answer. I think first I'll go to, well, we'll see. So we're going to edit the test. Up comes the same list that what you did when you created the test. Here's the item. It happens to be the first item in the list. There's my chevron that lets me edit the item. I go up to Edit and click, and that opens up the question text, and down below the answers. Now, I have partial credit checked. I'm going to uncheck that and say, no, there is no partial credit. It's either right or wrong. And then I'm going to say the correct answer is 33 million, which is the correct answer. I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to submit and update attempts. Now that means I'm going to submit the changes that I just made, and the system is going to update the scores for everybody. Tells me this will require regrading for 9 attempts for this question. Continue, yes. It's running, and it's complete. It just finished. So what I have to do now is go down, again I apologize for scrolling, there's an OK button way down at the bottom, so I'm going to click OK. And it takes me back to my item analysis. Now, item 1 hasn't changed. Can anybody type in the chat window why item 1 hasn't changed? Nobody seems to be typing, so I'll give you the answer. It's because it's still looking at the run that I did before I changed it. So let's go up here, click on Run, run the analysis again. And you can wait for this or leave, and it'll send you an email when it's done. So here's the 357 run. I click on that. Up comes the new analysis, and Canada now has still the lowest discriminant, 0.32. That's still pretty poor. Let's go off and take a look at that question and see what it says. Discrimination is good, it says. So I guess that's acceptable. I would like to have it be stronger, but that's fine. Let's take a look. 3 people in top 25, 1 in the second group, and 2 in the bottom 25. Well, I got it correct. And the other people, 1 in the top 25, 1 in the bottom 25, and 1 in the third of the 4 quartiles. Got them wrong. So I'm going to decide to just throw this question out. I don't like the question. I'm going to give everybody credit for it. I really didn't cover it in class. It wasn't appropriate. Or let's say that the correct answer was really 40 or 50 or something, and I don't know what they would answer between those two, so I'm just going to throw the question out. Well, I repeat what I just did, and I go to Edit Test. I find the question, there it is, and click on the Action menu and click Edit. I scroll down and check Allow Partial Credit. That now lets me use individual scores or points for each answer. So now I'm giving, this isn't the correct answer, but if somebody answered it, I'm going to give them 100% credit for it. By default, when you get here, that will be 0 if it's a brand new question, but because I've worked on it before, it's set to 100. But it's just a text box you can just type into it. Answer 2 is the correct answer, so if you answer that, you're going to get 100%. Answer 3, I'm also going to give 100%. And answer 4, I'm going to give 100%. So no matter what they answer, they're going to get 100% credit for this. I go down to the bottom or to the top. I've got the Submit and Update. Let it regrade. Status is complete. I can now, I want to go to OK. Is there an OK at the top? Nope, I have to go all the way to the bottom. And there's the OK button. I click on that. I run my analysis again. And you have to remember to do that. There's no warning, there's no anything about it being changed. Then I click on the new one, the 4 o'clock one. I scroll down and I see cannot calculate. If I go back and the average score is 1.0, everybody got it right. So I've effectively taken that question out of the pool, but left the same number of points for the test, 10 points, and said, it was my mistake, I'll give everybody credit for that question. Let's go back to the whiteboard and review the adjust item process. We just went through it. You click on the question itself. This is from the item analysis page. You decide how to adjust it, whether you want to change the answer, whether you want to give partial credit for another one, whether you want to give 100% credit for all the answers. You click on Edit Test. You find the item and click on the chevron to get the Edit Item option. You make the adjustments. You submit and update attempts. Does that make sense? I hope so. To give everyone credit, I'm just including this for completeness, and so that somebody who reads it later, they can refer to it. You check the partial credit box, and you enter 100 for every one of the possible answers so that people get full credit no matter what. And you submit and update the attempts. As I was working on this, I noticed that when I took a test, it said click OK to see the results of your test, and I'd click OK and it would show me the grade. And I thought, this is going to be a problem. It would say that I made 9 out of 10, give me the times and all that stuff, and say that I made 9 out of 10 points or whatever. And I thought this could be bad, because if a student sees that and then the instructor goes back and changes the grades, there's going to be some complaints, especially if their grade goes down. So I did some research, got some help from Brett and Rick, who know more about Blackboard now than I do. And in order to hide the grades at the end of a test so that nobody can see them, in test settings, when you're putting the test onto the system and putting the link to it, there's a section 6, and in it there's a score box that says when the test is submitted, show the students their score. You have to take that out. Then you have to go to the Grade Center. And in the Grade Center, click on the action menu again, and where we went to item analysis, there's also an option to show hide to users. That is, show or hide that column to the students, so the grade is hidden. If both of those are checked appropriately, if you're hiding the column to the users in the Grade Center and have the test setting so that they don't see anything, they don't see the score, then you're covered. Then you can make your changes, and when you're done, you can hide it to users, flip that so that it's now shown to the users, and tell the students that their grades are now in the Grade Center. So I'll pause for a second for questions before passing this on to Rick. Any questions about that process? Thank you, Yuritsa. Nursing has been asking for this for years because, as with many groups, they used to use the scanning sheets, the bubbling sheets, and they would send it over to the testing center, and they would get back a file with all the grades, and then they could send back information, please remove or give everybody credit for questions 8, 10, and 15. And they would be rescored that way, and they get the file, and then they could post it into the old MyUM system. With Blackboard, people were going in and adjusting points and doing it for every student to see whether they got it right or wrong, and giving them credit even if they got it wrong. So when Blackboard added this capability to change it and rescore the test automatically, it was a real step forward. There's a URL at the bottom. We'll be promoting that more. It's tinyurl.com/UMiamiBB. It's University of Miami Blackboard Archive. And that's where this recording and all of our other recordings are.